Hello and welcome back to another Fwooshcast with Mr. Brian Flynn from Super 7. Brian, thank you again for joining us. It seems like we were just doing in some ways, it seems like we were just doing our thing in San Diego, but at the same time, that feels like a lifetime ago at this point, right?
We're bordering on October right now. It's what, one more day, two more days till October
Yeah,
when we're recording this. So that means it's been 2.5 months, believe it or not.
I can't because you guys were out at D23
Mhm.
between then and now. You're getting ready to head out to New York Comic Con. It's like a couple
And then we'll
years of
do
not doing
decon
a whole
after
lot.
that.
And then what?
Decon.
Decon after that. Oh man, so you guys are still not going to be done for the year. You guys are making up for the lost time that we've kind of suffered for the past couple of years, huh?
True story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there are a few things that I was hoping that we could chat about today and get caught up on in terms of updates and whatnot. But before we get into some of the things that are coming, I mentioned that you guys were at D23. What that was like 2 weeks ago now, and then I turned around and I was at Walt Disney World last week, and I was there for like the day that Willow made it onto the pegs. You posted the picture of these on
Yeah,
the pegs, and I was sitting in my hotel room and I was like, I know exactly where that is. And I went the next day and found it. I mean, is this your first this is your first thing at Disney World, correct,
yeah.
Willow?
This is easily the first thing inside the park for sure. And yeah, I mean that was a pretty cool picture because it's like here's Willow
Uh-huh.
and here's Star Wars. And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm this close.
Yeah.
This close.
Well, when you revealed these at D23, I couldn't believe it because Willow's one of my favorite movies. So when I found him, I took him kind of on a tour around the theme park, the Magic Kingdom, while we were there for the day. So that was a lot of fun. But
Did you take pictures of him in
I
different parts of
I
the
did. They're on
Oh,
Twitter. I'll have to send them to you.
oh yeah, you have to send them to us and then we'll repost those all.
I,
That's
I
amazing.
did a whole Where's Willow thing throughout the park by rides and stuff like that. So that was fun. It was fun. But
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but the best part is that he's just the beginning of a whole Willow reaction series, right?
Exactly. So Willow with Laura is
Yeah.
exclusive to Disney parks. Um, but Willow without Laura, just regular Willow, will be coming out along with General Kale, along with Mad Mardigan, along with Sorsha, and oh, why am I blanking on?
It's Bavmorda, right?
There we go,
There we
Bavmorda.
go. Yeah.
See, I've already lost all credibility. That's
No,
it. I don't
no,
know
you're
anything.
having to come back to the past for a second there, but no, that's exciting. I've said this for a long time. I stand by. I think General Kale has one of the coolest designs ever committed to movies ever. So I'm really excited to get the reaction series, the full series with that, and the new show's gonna be out in like less than 2 months now too. Good
Yeah,
time.
it sometime in November.
Yeah,
I believe right toward the end of
yeah.
November. But yeah, New Willow. I actually at D23, I don't ever get to see anybody. I don't get to go to any of the panels. I don't get to do anything. But I was actually walking across the thing, and then uh I saw a couple people walk by, and I turned in where the costumes were, and there he was. Uh
Really
yeah. And
awesome.
he was you know, he took the prop wand and did some photo shoots with it, and um, it was just really cool. I was like, that's the guy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. And then and then you just try to think, and you're like, all right, how many things has he been in at this point? And you're like, all right, he was in Ewok, and he was
yeah. He
in.
was
It's just
Will.
like I know in most of all the Star Wars reboots, they've always found a place for him to
Yeah,
be in. And I'm just like, oh man, same thing. I'm just like, where are they going to fit him in Andor? You
yeah.
know,
Well, yeah, exactly,
there's going to be a spot where he shows up. Like
Well, I think
that's
he
Warwick
was.
Davis, and
I
it's
was
like,
gonna say I think he was in Rogue One, I think Warwick Davis was
yeah,
in
he
Rogue
plays
One
the
too.
gunner on
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. So man, it's cool. We got him now.
It's true. It's been a long time coming. So no, it's super fun. It's super exciting. And it was really cool that we managed to keep it a complete secret
Yeah. Yeah.
and just surprise people.
Well, you kept a couple of things completely on ice for that show because appropriately when I got back from Disney, that guy right there was waiting for me as well because had I known that you guys were doing Scrooge from Mickey's Christmas Carol, I would have been like screaming about it for months now. I couldn't believe it that he was kind of a surprise announcement there at the show as well.
Yeah, Ebenezer Scrooge. There was so many people that came up. They're like Scrooge McDuck. I'm like, close,
Eh,
but not quite.
yeah.
It's Ebenezer Scrooge, who's not going to let Bob Cratchit have a Christmas bonus. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be in time ready for Christmas, and we're ahead of schedule. So we figured that D23 was as good a time as any to show him off. So we brought him down, showed him off, and enough people were asking about it that we kind of soft launched it. So if you can go online and order it actually already, but
Yeah.
it's not technically scheduled to officially release for a little while yet. But yeah, it's that same thing. It's like, who are all those characters that we love and we're excited about that just never really see the light of day? And
Yeah.
he's obviously one of them.
Yeah, he's set up down here for now, but during the month of December, he's going to get some prime real estate up in the normal holiday decorations, I think, because I've loved that movie since I was a kid, and my three girls love it now too. So they were having a ball when we opened him the other day. So
That's
fun,
awesome.
and perfect for the scale. The dude's got better pajamas than I do, that's for sure.
His night shirt, his lovely velvety night shirt.
Uh-huh.
Just whatever you do, don't lean like a crutch in the corner. That might be too much.
Yeah, true. Well, Disney, as we said, D23, you guys, had a good show there, lots of new things to announce. And then you moved right into the bodega as well for the spooky Halloween season. And as always, there are some really fun, not necessarily Halloween, but kind of, scarier things that you're doing through that. And I
It's
gotta say,
monster time. It's
yeah,
monster time.
monster time. Yeah.
Exactly.
The one that caught me most pleasantly by surprise, though, was Mr. Bones in
Yep.
reaction form, because I know you guys boast that the 70s candy, but he was definitely around in the 80s as well, because that was something that I hadn't thought about in decades probably. And the second that I saw it, I was like, oh, I hope you do him in every color possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Bones, it's another one of those things where you go backwards and you're like, what were all those cool things? And you're like, oh man, that was such an amazing concept
Yeah.
for novelty candy and so cool. And we were kicking around. So Jason Liebig owns Mr. Bones now, who's a candy historian, and he owns the rights to Mr. Bones. And he was talking to us about some stuff, and he was like, well, if you ever want to make Mr. Bones, and we're like, oh, same thing. Like, I hadn't thought about Mr. Bones in so long. And you're like, it was so cool the way it puzzled together. And we're like, the joints are kind of designed into the figure.
Yeah.
Like, if we just made it into a functioning figure, like, it could be a figure. And then it was like, do you think anybody else will want it? I don't know. But it was like, same thing. We were just like, the moment we were there, we were like, oh, we have to make this. We have to make this. I'm so excited. It's taken longer than we expected to get it out.
Really.
But yeah, it's so much fun. It's so rad. And then obviously everybody's like, you gotta have the coffin, but I'm not gonna make this. The tooling cost to make the coffin big enough for the figure would be prohibitive. All of a sudden it'd be like, I'm not paying $40 for Mr. Bone.
Yeah.
So instead we made the blister the coffin.
Yeah.
Since he doesn't actually come apart.
Yeah. Well, it's as you mentioned, the concept, it's one of those that it's like the concept was so strong that you didn't care about how it tasted at
Yeah.
all, you know. So um,
Because
yeah.
you imagine it to taste like sweet tarts, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a whiff of sweet tart with mostly chalk was I think the flavor of it. But he was perfect for, you know, the launch with the bodega alongside guys like The Worst. And you've got some new glow in the dark kind of Remco you know, tribute to some of the Worst figures. And you guys also announced a partnership with Acid Rain with The
Yep.
Worst too. That was something that, you know, caught me by surprise. But what a cool concept for these two things to marry.
Yeah, Christian Romaldo that works here has I said Romaldo, it's Romando. Uh Christian has been a big fan of Acid Rain for a long time, has been collecting. And I would say that they've been probably working on that figure for 2.5 years, probably,
Really? Wow.
for quite a long time. And it was just the same thing. It's like they make cool stuff. This is pretty fun. Let's mash it up and let's just make it. See what
Yeah.
happens. Um, yeah, and it wasn't really that much deeper than that. It was just a cool thing to do. And Christian's super into it, so we let him kind of run with it. And Kit and the team over at Acid Rain were like, "Oh, we really think Cortex Commander could work well as a crossover." And that's sort of the beginning and the end of the whole thing.
It's
It's just
it's funny with
just a
it's
cool
in
thing.
lots of different things fit into Acid Rain, but that has to be just the right thing. And to their credit, I think Cortex Commander is just the right thing to have Brain in a Jar Man fit in with those with that particular style and kind of that story world that they've established there. So that's a really fun partnership that, again, I don't think anybody expected to see that.
No, but once again, whether people expect it or not, it wasn't premeditated per se. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, we're fans of yours. You like this stuff? Let's work on something together. And
Wow.
so then we're making figures that come in their like ammo case boxes. Those are the ones that come with us. And then they're making some for their sort of collector group that come on blister cards with paintings that look like what we make.
Wow.
It's a cool little I don't know, foreign exchange student program.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
shout out for Christian to putting it together.
yeah, that's really, really fun. And I can't wait to you know, see those. I have a couple of Acid Rain figures, not a whole lot, but the good part is that, like we said, you don't need everybody to kind of tell the whole story. It's just kind of a collection of different characters and whatnot. And I think as you mentioned, Cortex Commander is going to be just right for that. That's cool. Um, well, so excuse me. I know we've got some Ultimates updates to talk through as well, but we wanted to make sure to mention that you guys are headed off to New York Comic Con right away. You've
Yes.
started teasing some of your exclusives and things for that. I saw a potentially glow in the dark trash themed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character caught my eye today. So we'll have
Yeah.
everything ready to go for the show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're ready.
Awesome.
On a pallet. It's on the way. But
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, it'll take a hot minute for this to come out, so the photos are probably already there. So there's a glow in the dark Muckman and Joe Eyeball because of course he's glow in the dark.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Like, how cool is this? Just it's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's in New York. So I mean, it's New York Comic Con, so I mean that's getting in on Ninja Turtles home turf there. So it's
Yeah.
good for that as well. So you guys are you gonna have a whole, you know, retail space and you know, booth to show off some new stuff like you did at Comic Con, or will it be more like retail centric?
Yeah, we'll be showing off a no, I mean we'll have it's like the booth at Comic-Con, but with both bays, since
Mhm.
one bay wasn't ready for Comic-Con. So we'll have both bays out. We'll show off some new stuff. We'll show off the exclusives. We'll bring a lot of stuff that's in progress, sort of like some of this stuff hanging
Some of
off
this stuff that
camera.
we might get to.
Yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just gonna be it's gonna be super fun. I'm excited to see everybody. We just did San Diego, and it feels like it's time. It's time to
Yeah,
hang out again.
yeah, yeah. And what, this time next year you'll be like going right from Toy Fair to New York Comic Con, and it's like it's gonna be rapid fire.
That's gonna be an interesting thing because you're downstairs
Uh-huh.
Toy Fair, but upstairs for Comic Con. So I kind of feel like as much as they're at the same location, it's still a complete breakdown, move out, move in, reset up. It's
Yeah.
gonna be sporty.
Yeah, my brother lives in Brooklyn, and I'm thinking that I'm just gonna stay that week in between and not even come home to catch both shows, because what would be the point? The timing is going to be crazy, but I am glad to see Toy Fair coming back, and the fact that it's not in February in New York City is actually kind of inviting
Oh
as
my
well.
God. I want to I realize that there are people here that live up and down the West Coast or in the upper Midwest that are just going to be like, but like when it's like the middle of February and it's 10 below and the sleet is going sideways and you're trying to walk to Javits, there is nothing pleasant about that.
Javits is right on the water, and if you're walking to it from like a hotel, then you're caught in those like wind tunnels with that wind coming. Oh man, it's awful.
Yeah, just like the tears, just
Uh-huh.
they're just tears.
Oh, I'm having
Crying.
flashbacks.
And it's just, it can be miserable.
Yeah. Late
But
September sounds more inviting.
exactly. I want to walk down the street and have some pizza. I don't want to
Yeah.
have to cower inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope that New York I hope that New York goes well for you guys, and you have a good time, because is this your first show on the East Coast since really starting up again, right?
Yeah, this is the first time we're coming back east.
Yeah.
This
All
is the
right.
first time. So
Well,
we're back.
yeah. New York Comic Con, right to DCon, and then maybe a little bit of break by the end of the year, and start the whole thing over again in 2023, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
All that, excuse me, all that and more in 23.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to, I think a lot of people are going to be expanding kind of their slate for next year. Now that seemingly I think most of the shows have been successful in terms of how they've been able to pull them off and whatnot. So I think that's going to give a lot of reassurance to con goers and exhibitors alike to maybe make 2023, when we're really back.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Back
Well,
streets back.
well, speaking of back and getting into some updates, because we mentioned the worst and whatnot, and that's something that I was really hoping, since it's almost October, it will be October when this actually shows, is that that monster spooky season, and the worst is getting ready for series 1 of Ultimates to release before too long. And this is
Yep.
the worst property's first endeavor into Ultimates, and I mean, that's exciting. Reaction's been great, but kind of getting them plussed up with all the detail and articulation is an exciting thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big bad guys are here. No, it's super cool. As I said just before we jumped on, my daughter was sick today, so I was at home and then I came up to the office. So I did not have the proper time to grab all the samples ahead of time. So I'm not going to have much to show you. We might be able to flash some stuff on screen.
Yeah, I think we'll
But
probably do that.
I won't be able to be like, here's the final proto and here's the final proto, because they're in a box in bubble wrap in the other. I don't even know where they are right now.
Okay.
Actually, they're probably in a box in a bubble wrap on a pallet headed to New York for display.
Awesome.
That's probably where they are.
So they're on the water now, right? Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. Wow. So probably maybe even start shipping out ahead of Halloween, which would be pretty awesome if things work out.
If the stars line up properly. Yeah, I mean, we've had some stuff that showed up much quicker, some stuff still slower. It's getting more regular, but yeah, no, the worst. I mean, I'm just excited for people to see it, and I hope that they dig it. I think they look pretty incredible personally,
Yeah.
but again, I am biased,
Right.
so I can't be taken at face value. And there is somebody that will probably most likely disagree with me on that.
Well, it's an interesting big question, and I don't know if there is a difference in it. Is there any type of, difference in approach or how you go about, conceiving or planning for a line like this when it's when it's an intellectual property that you actually own and that you have full control over, than when you're dealing with a licensing partner or whatnot? Are there easier things, more difficult things when working through that?
I mean, the most difficult part is reining ourselves in.
Yeah.
Like, and we could do this, and we could do this, and we could give it this, we could give it that, and then all of a sudden it becomes this big, and we go, all right, we got to get it back down to here. I think it's the worst is not in shortage of ideas. I think when we go into the ultimates, obviously the first thing is like, what's the plus up? Like, we've made this in reaction. We know who the character is. We know what they look like. We know what their primary weapon is. Beyond that, everything else needs to be editorialized or thought about. A lot of times it might be stuff that was in some of the early sketches that we didn't get to put into the reaction figure, like other weapons or things like that. Obviously, different head expressions or hands are fairly straightforward, but then it's sort of like, what are the other little editorial choices? So like, that's where we had a lot of fun with these characters. Like, if we're talking about Black Falcon, God, I can't even remember anymore. It's like he comes with his lunch. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes with his lunch, and it's like here's a thermos and his sack lunch kind of thing. Like, because he's got to kill all the, and so there's definitely some levity in that we've tried to play with. If we're talking about, Bacula, he's got the goblet of blood, and you've got the book and stuff, but at the same time, it's like there's goofy, playful stuff.
Sunglasses and the like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have these are the test. These are very old, early test shots on Captain Dead Star
Yeah.
when he was. These are still very first versions, very in some cases loose. So people will be like, "Why is it loose?" It's like because it's a very, very first test shot. He was going to come with his gun. You knew he was going to come with the flaming sword, but then like, the key and the lock on here, which has got, in the treasure chest, but then it's got his, his bottle of rum. It's got his turkey leg, he's got his list where it was like, I think it was people to kill.
Yeah.
Change it. Can't remember if we changed it. Here's the key to the lock, dude. And then you have the feather for him to quill for him
maintain
to
his list
stuff on. And this was definitely the funniest part. It's a little hard to see here, but there you can see the sculpting in the shadow. Like, it is theoretically the hand grenade / thermal detonator. It is definitely not a thermal detonator.
Definitely not. It's not even a soda bottle shaped like one.
Nope, it is not a thermal detonator. So, he's got his eye patch. In these cases, this is the head with the robotic eye.
Yeah.
Where this one's the eye patch. And then this is another eye patch with the closed mouth.
Yeah. Well,
but it's just sort of, you get to start telling a bigger story with these characters, and there's a lot more to them than just, he's got a flaming sword. Cool. I mean, that's in some of how we've designed them. There's a little bit of that. So you can say, oh, I know who that is. But it's also just getting into some of that fun storytelling stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's fun. Things like that are fun pieces to help people kind of expand and tell their own stories with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love my, nostalgia properties and the things that I've, loved ever since I was a kid, but you're almost kind of handcuffed imaginatively sometimes when things are so well established that when you get something that's a fresh take or something new, it's like the world's kind of wide open for you to
Yeah.
do that. So in a way, it's almost like this almost feels more like being a kid getting something new like this than even getting stuff that I've known my entire life. It's a fun it's a fun way to have kind of a different path for collecting than what I typically do. So new original IPs open a lot of doors, I think. So it's really exciting for me that these are coming out in Ultimates. I can't wait.
I, I'm super excited about it. Plus, it just starts down this roadmap. The roadmap sounds like it's completely planned, but just down this thing of like, then there's more stories to tell with these guys. Okay,
Mhm.
there's 3 3/4. Now there's Ultimates. What's that next thing? We're working on a couple different things. Hopefully that all pan out, and then
Yeah.
we'll be able to do more things with Ultimates and take them to different places. Or sorry, the worst. And obviously we did the Acid Rain collab. That was super cool.
Yeah.
But we're definitely trying to figure out, you know, bigger and brighter, grander stories.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's had a cartoon deal twice. Both times it got dropped.
yeah, part of the biz.
Has yet another media deal now.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't believe any of these media deals until you go into production. So
Right.
anybody going like, oh man, it's going to be this or that. And it's like, when they go into
Uh-huh.
production, then I'll say it's going to happen.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I think because of the media deal we have now, we can't. But one day we'll probably at the very least be able to show off like there's 2 minutes of animation around this that exist. That's really cool.
Wow.
Can't be shared.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandable, but being an action figure collector, the meat and potatoes are coming for sure in Ultimate. So series 1 on the water, which is cool. Is series 2 close behind? Because I know some of these series have kind of caught up with each other on some of these lines, or
Yeah, it's not too far behind. See, and literally because I'm living so far in the future, I have to go back and go, oh, and I say that for context, everything takes 12, 15, 18 months to make. So
Mhm.
I'm working on literally Q4 23, Q1 2024 right now. And I already have a bunch of San Diego Comic-Con 2024 kind of wrapped. Uh,
Wow. Wow.
uh, so I'm going back, I'm going, okay, what did we do in wave one? Wave one was Black Falcon
And
and
Bachelor.
Bachelor.
Oh no, Bachelor's Wave
No,
1.
Bachelor's wave is Black Falcon 2.
Black
So is
Falcon. Robot Reaper and Black Falcon are 2, I think, right? Yeah.
Robot
Yeah.
Reaper and Black Falcon are 2, and then Bachelor and Captain Deadstar are 1.
Or 1, I believe so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That would make sense. So yeah, Robot Reaper, I think that one's got so many cool, funny little jokes, little handheld, can be the
The
floppy disks
that
that go to
that
the
I think that's
back,
my favorite piece so far.
you know. But that's the same thing. Those are those editorial moments that you have at Ultimates that you don't get at 3 3/4 that are super, super fun. And you know, he that one turned out really, really great. That tattered robe that comes with him, but then same thing, you can take off in the reaction figure, you just see the face and a couple little parts. And this is
Mhm.
like, no, here's the whole robot head to toe. It's cool. It's cool.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Well,
And there's more to come.
I was
More to
gonna
come.
say I'm curious when hopefully Series 3 will be announced. I know
See,
I've got my picks who I'd like to see, but at this point, when something's wide open like this, it's like, oh, anybody, it works.
Ultimates Wave 3. Worst. Let me see. Do, 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 do. I think you can only see me and not my screen,
No,
hopefully.
I can only see you. I promise.
Where is 3 hiding? Oh, it's because I'm looking in the wrong year. Huh? How do I not see 3? Where's 3 is a little ways away.
Okay. Okay.
A little ways away, but 3 and 4 are in 23. But I think 3 is a little bit further away just because we want to get. There was just there's a bunch of other surprises coming.
Well, I was gonna say it's not like you guys have
Oh
like
no, I have it completely wrong. I was looking at it correctly. Worst, I was like, seems like worst 3 is in November.
all right. All right. I was gonna say it's not like you guys have been not announcing a whole bunch of new stuff and getting ready to, you know, new pre-orders, but then also you know, new status updates because we got, you know, the worst is on the water. Series 1 is on the water now. Series 3 is going to be up in November. But just the other day, you gave an update about Silverhawks Series
I
1
did.
with some deco updates, and I was hoping we could talk a little bit about that, just because I love, you know, it was great to see, you know, Quicksilver's kind of what I assume to be the final deco update on that.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to, you know, ask too in terms of, you know, seeing it in person as well compared to the camera did it accurately kind of show off what you're seeing in person, or is this one of those things that it's like it's really hard to get and you really got to see him in person type of thing?
I think in camera it looks more muted than
Okay.
it does in real life. But the coloring is right. I know everybody keep, you know, color, you know, silver. But it's like if you stand it up, here's where I'm going. Like if you put it up, it looks, you know, flat blue, just like the color match for screen. But the
Mm-hmm.
moment you move him and the light moves it, like you see those highlights of light tracing across the figure. And that's what I'm trying to replicate from the on screen. Like when it moves, you see those light
Yeah.
reflections happening across that sort of bluish gray that Quicksilver is. I'm fairly positive I know exactly where those are if you want me to go get those and we can hold them up.
Okay. Okay. You know, that's
Just,
fine.
just cause, you know,
Yeah, just cause.
just cause.
Just cause.
Literally, as I went to get them too, I was just like, did they pack these? No, we had more than one set.
So these guys will be at New York Comic Con?
Hold on, sorry, I was making too much noise.
Oh, no. So these guys will be at New York Comic Con?
Yeah, they should be.
Awesome.
We should have a set off for sale for show. Like maybe this one. Grab. Like I don't. Are you?
Uh-huh.
It's still looking a little flat on screen here between the two colors, but you can see that the darker color has a little bit more shine, but
Yeah.
there's that reflective pearlescent happening in the other color. Like
Yeah.
when you look at this now, like it's you know, there's a lot of pearl in that light blue.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get it, but it's not working.
That's
You can
tough.
see it much easier on the darker blue,
Yeah.
probably just because there's a higher contrast
Mm-hmm.
between white and this color blue than white and that color, the light reflection. So you're seeing it easier, but the whole figure has that level of reflectivity to it. But it's knocked back a little bit because it's supposed to look like it's animated.
Right. Right.
You know, it's not supposed to look like the Chrome. That's the
Well,
toys.
and that's something that you've been, you know, really, I think, trying to communicate as much as possible from the very beginning, that these
Yeah.
were going to be animation based figures, and so match that source material as such, because you know the vintage action figures were something completely different.
Yeah. And so if I've got oh Quicksilver here.
Oh yeah.
Um, See, on screen, I'm looking at the screen right now and I'm like, that doesn't even look like this at all.
Yeah,
Parts of it just look matte, and it's not that way at all. Because you start to get like highlights of like red and blue and different colors that are around you bouncing off of it.
Mhm.
And then you pop off the arms, pop in the old wings.
Put on the wings. Now, when in your video, the splayed wing piece was the spot where I thought I could really like that was the spot that really showed it off the best, I think, in the video was the wing pieces on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Because there's more facets, but
yeah.
it's really pearl, and maybe it's better. I'm just gonna make a big mess, and all this stuff makes a lot of noise when I pop it out.
I yeah, popping them out of the blisters, or you don't do that after the kiddos go to bed because they'll wake up.
Yeah. So let me grab one of her wings as well. Steelheart here, but like, see here.
Yeah.
If you can see the reflections that happening, you know, I know I saw some comments where people like, it's just glossy plastic, and it's like, no, it's not. It's this pearlescent, because same thing, like if those highlights on the arms, they don't show it in the video,
Hmm.
but if I'm looking at them, it's like it's white, then it transitions into this sort of glittery blue
Yeah.
that fades into the dark blue. But yeah.
Well, how did you guys you know, kind of I imagine it was kind of an evolution process or iterative process in terms of, you know, getting to, you know, this final deco. I mean, I imagine this is taking you places where you hadn't gone before as far as paintwork goes, right?
Yeah, and that's been the hardest part. Not so much developing the paint proper,
Hmm.
it's how you construct action figures. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Our preferred method in doing all this stuff is that our joints in here are made of palm or
Mhm.
nylon, all the discs.
Yep.
So palm and a nylon have an inherent weep to them. So which means that they're not completely inert. Not in a damaging, crazy way, but just polypropylene, as an example, is a plastic that weeps.
Hmm.
It was first developed as an anti-graffiti plastic. You would be able to wipe it off easier
Wow.
because it's inherently, it's not sticky, but it feels slightly different. That weep is what allows tighter tension to move
Hmm.
easier. But because it's got the weep, you can't paint it.
Right.
So instead, you have to use a different material. And so your joint tolerances and what you can use are very different if you're using palm or nylon than if you're using what a lot of people use, which is polycarbonate.
Hmm.
And so we have to paint all these discs. So then we have to use a polycarbonate disc. Polycarbonate isn't flexible.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have a bend the same way. So you have to re-engineer your joints around polycarbonate. And if you don't treat polycarbonate right, that's when you get, I think, what you would traditionally, it's cheaper and easier, obviously. You get what you would traditionally have in an action figure where it's like, you know, the joints can freeze up.
Yeah.
When they freeze up, that is because the tension is too tight. The polycarbonate has been painted, and so the gaps and all the engineering in between them are too tight.
Closed. Yeah.
And then therefore, and it has no flexibility, and it has no weep. The weep allows it to travel.
Hmm.
So then all of a sudden you're like, and that's what also gets to, oh, now it works, or it's snapped off and broke.
Right.
Because it's not a PVC, it's not an ABS, it's a polycarbonate. to accept the paint. So in Silverhawks, we had to go away from using POM or nylon
Mm,
and use polycarbonate. But I want them to be stiff joints, but not breakable joints.
right.
So it just, there's a lot longer worth of engineering and development and tool modifications to get those joints just right so that we can use PC without having it get stiff or break,
Right.
and not have it be like, oh, frozen joints when it shows up. Because you are layering basically PVC and polycarbonate with 2 layers of paint in between them and putting them together, and then dealing with joint tension that's usually higher than the material allows. And so PC being stiff also doesn't flex, it doesn't
Right.
stretch. So, I'm sure there's plenty of people who go, lots of other people use PC all day long, and they do. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Or they're doing dye-in PC.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not painted PC.
Right.
But painted PC is just a pain in the ass.
So to that point, is that a developmental curve that has, needed to take its time on this first series, and then when you kind of got it, you got it as you move to the next and whatnot? Or is this, working through these issues, is that kind of every joint, every figure as you go along in the manufacturing process?
It's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is inherent into Silverhawks, but when I talk about somebody like Buzzsaw,
Oh
I'm
man.
back to POM and nylon.
Yeah.
And I'm not painting my POM and nylon. If you look at a lot of your figures, most of the time you'll see that the joints are painted
Mm-hmm.
because it's faster, cheaper, and more time effective and inexpensive. You can just shoot all the joints at once and then be done. For us, we'll shoot all the joints and dye them to match so that the joint here, the POM here, will be the exact same color as the painted area here. Sometimes we'll go back and paint over it, but then the paint scrapes, and you can see the material underneath. So on figures like this, it wasn't a problem. It's the Silverhawks because of that paint. Because what you don't want is all the figure painted, but then all the discs are a slightly different color and don't have the same reflectivity.
Right.
I realize that, I may be more concerned about it than other people, but it's just one of those things that I want these figures to be as perfect as possible. So I'm even talking about the arm, just getting this disc and that hinge joint in there
Mm-hmm.
have painted. And if they're painted too thick and the tolerance isn't there, they won't move.
Right.
If they're not, it's just, I'm over talking it, but the difference come down to, it's literally just hundredths of an inch
Sure.
that you're trying to move back and forth between. And you're literally milling, you have to take the mold, make it, shoot it. How does it look? What's the shrink rate? So all this stuff has shrink rates too.
Mm-hmm.
Shrink rate of PVC in this arm is different than the shrink rate of the POM, or in this case, sorry, the PC, the polycarbonate.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do it, shoot it, shrink it, wait for it to come back, paint it. How does it fit? Okay, do we need to adjust this? You have to take the tools, send them back to the tooling factory, and have them literally laser off 1/100th of an inch, send it back. How's it shrinking? Some stuff might shrink based on how it's injected, might shrink more vertically than horizontally. Some stuff might and it's just a fine-tuning exercise. It's something that we go through on every figure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can hold up, I don't even know where I put it. This guy and be like, all right, this is super loose, but we can fix that.
Yeah.
You know, uh, it just takes time. But dealing with it on PC is just problematic. That's all.
Well, but you know, the alternative is that you know, joints not matching and things of that nature when that's such a big deal for I guess this property especially. But man, just I would say by the time Series 3 rolls around, it's nice that Stargazer's just wearing regular pants and not armored at every joint, right? But
I mean, it's yeah. Here, let me grab this.
oh yeah,
So, like when we're talking about this guy, you know, this is everything how we normally do it. So I'm not even remotely worried about him. He's great. But this will also give you like
wow.
scale.
Wow.
Like I'm trying to visually line up his feet on the screen. So there you go.
Yeah.
Scale.
Well, no, and that's appreciated because I can look at renders all day and say, yes, Monstar is that much taller than the Hawks, but my brain still doesn't process it as correctly as what, you know, you're showing right now.
Which is he's gigantic. I mean, that's toe to toe. That's where he's in the show. He comes up right to this part of the chest. And so it's like, holy moly, you guys, this is a face off.
Yeah.
But
All the other ultimate denizens are going to start to get a little jealous of the stature of Monstar, that's for sure.
well, that's the whole thing. If you thought Lino, I mean, sorry, you thought Mumra the Ever Living
Yeah.
was big, wait till this guy shows up. But you know, same thing. He's great, and we're back to he was much easier to do. He's palm and nylon,
hmm
and we can dye in the color to make it fit, and you know, it's great. It's been the Silverhawks themselves that have been problematic, and basically what we'll get with Silverhawks Wave 1 and Wave 2 is Silverhawks Wave 1 will ship, and like 4 weeks later, you'll get Silverhawks Wave 2.
Really?
They're basically almost on top of each other at this point because there is some stuff like you're talking about
hmm
back and forth, but part of it is like, we're fixing all the joints at the exact same time. And so
Well,
I think when people get them, they will be very happy with them.
yeah.
Be very happy with the color. That is if they're not like it's vac metal or nothing.
Right. Right.
So,
And I having this conversation as far as, you know, getting the joints to match as far as color goes, when you get into vac metal, that suddenly becomes like an impossibility with
no,
with
you
joints like
can't.
these.
It'll just scrape right off.
Yeah.
But like same thing. Here we have, but here these are test shots on, rocker ankle there on
Yeah.
Wave 2. So
Our Armored Monstar is awesome, but man, I can't wait for that version as well. He's got such a cool design.
he does. He's really, really cool. So there's that. I got Windhammer.
I say this about a freakish space mutant, but it's like a normal figure.
I gotta get his feet right. He's got such big feet. But
Oh
there's,
man.
Windhammer.
Yeah. And he'll have the full soft goods over him, but it's cool to see the articulation and whatnot cut in that will kind of exist underneath all of that.
Yeah. Yep. Giant blast on his
The
fork here.
the tuning fork effects in outer space, man. That's awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. This is our football player in space.
Oh yeah. And the proper helmet for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like getting series 1 and series 2 kind of right on top of each other. I mean, That's
Yeah.
it. And there's that's my guy right there.
Bluegrass.
Yeah, Bluegrass is my favorite good guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
With Melodia.
Oh yeah.
Melodia here.
This guitar, sweet.
Sweet.
But
Wow.
but that's the cool part about, 1 and 2 so close together. I mean, most of the team's going to be there, like right away.
Yeah. Then you have this gigantic
That's
drum.
crazy.
Where did I? Hold on, I have to move. Slowly getting him in here.
Yeah. But that's yeah. But then also that Series 1 version can sit in that as well.
Yeah. Series 1 can. Hold on.
Excellent.
There you go.
Man.
Series 1.
Yeah, that's cool. So what stage is Series 1 in right now? I mean, I know it's impossible as far as like timing and things go, but just like at what stage of the process are they in actual production now or close to it?
It is, most of the parts have been injected
Mm-hmm.
and are waiting on revised discs.
Okay.
But basically, all we're doing these days is trying to fix the discs and make the discs proper. So
Yeah.
everything else is done. Everything else is there.
Cool.
So all the plastic has been injected, in some cases completely painted. Buzzsaw and Monstar, I think, are pretty much done in assembly.
Mhm.
But it's these guys like, okay, every time we have to ship out the tool for the discs to make a slight change, it delays everything. And then, you paint each piece, but then there's a lot of that comes back together once it's assembled. So it's the discs. It's the discs on this thing, and it's
Yeah.
driving me crazy.
Well, there's
Because
only
I
a
can't
few left
move on
as far
until I
as
deliver. I have to deliver before I can do the next wave, and it is
Yeah.
trust me, it's in my best interest to do the next wave.
Yeah. Well, but then,
I'm
as you said,
playing with this guy.
yeah, that I was gonna say there's just something about his that head sculpt and his unarmored look that I've always loved. So and when you guys announced Series 1, I thought, well, gosh, we'll probably have to wait a while for the unarmored look, and then boom, he was turned around right there in Series 2. Oh, excellent.
Look at that, he's got his finger guns out.
Yeah, he does.
Who's number one? I'm number one.
Ah. Yeah. Well, it's I know a lot of people have been eagerly anticipating seeing the paint updates and whatnot, and I am quite envious of those who will be attending New York Comic Con this year to be able to see them in person. So I think there's going to be a lot of pictures taken of those guys here in the next week and a half or so, right?
You're not going to come out and visit us?
I wish I
skip, and a jump for you.
I wish I could. It's like I have like been on a plane like I think in the past 4 months as many times as I probably would have normally traveled to make up for all the time that I didn't travel during the pandemic. So I'm gonna sit New York Comic Con out this year, but next year I'll be there for sure. For sure.
All right. All right, I'll forgive you this time.
Well, thank you. But so New York Comic Con coming around, so that'll be your next stop, and then as you said, DCon will be later in the year. But we're 2 days away from fourth quarter, and you guys probably still have a lot of other stuff to roll out and announce. I know you mentioned the worst will be Series 3 will be dropping. You mentioned a while back that there's another Thundercats wave coming between now and the end of the year, but things are gonna keep rolling.
There is. Yeah. Yeah, there's some really there's some really fun, cool stuff coming up. I hate to say, like I said, I'm in 23 and 24. There's some really cool surprises, I think, in 23 that I
Mhm.
think are going to excite people. And you know, we're trying to have a lot of fun with this stuff and do some really interesting, unexpected things. And I think there's going to be some stuff that catches people by surprise, much like Mr. Bones, where they're just like, "Well, I did not see that coming."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm excited that it's coming. Willow, we caught you by surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, Scrooge too. You know, it's there's been several. So that's been cool. And then, I would imagine that things like G.I. Joe Ultimate Series 1 and that's got to be getting pretty close at this point too.
Very, 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 very close.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. You talk about another one that's been delayed far too long.
Yeah.
Wave 1 and Wave 2 on that one are going to ship right on top of each other, too.
Really.
Yeah.
No.
That one we retooled the inner thigh connection. So if you look at the bat that you guys got at San Diego Comic-Con, probably fine to all of you.
Mhm.
But I was not happy with some things that were going on inside the thighs and crotch piece. So
Uh-huh.
we retooled that part. So retooling everything, throws you back 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So they are almost done, which is
Awesome. And
long overdue, along with the Power Rangers.
yeah, Power
Those
Ranger.
are the three. Those are the three that are off, that have been off schedule: Silverhawks, GI Joe, and Power Rangers. So you couldn't have picked three bigger ones.
Well,
All have some
well,
problems with the launch, but
well,
Simpsons, not a problem.
and you showed what our close or our final of Disney Series 2 at D23 too, right?
Yeah,
Robin Hood is going to
I
be
think
soon.
they may be on the water. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But
Awesome.
they may be on the water.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Prince John has been waiting for Robin Hood now for a bit. So I'm excited to get series 2. And then you mentioned the last time that we were here is the Disney series will become a little more focused within their actual own series, and Nightmare Before Christmas is like kind of the first one showing that off, right? I wasn't expecting NBX to be the movie for it, but it's the timing is right.
Yeah, it's spooky time. It's monster
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Bring on Nightmare. Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas, and then the one after Nightmare. Like I said, I think that one's going to catch, I think, everyone by surprise.
Really.
And I'm really excited for that one.
Oh,
That,
cool.
not that I'm not excited for other stuff, but like that one's like, wow, like this has never been made. Never. Nothing's ever been made.
Wow.
So it's
All
gonna
right.
be
Well,
exciting.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna have to start thinking through that then. But all right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with us to get us caught up on things, especially with the Silverhawks. I know people have been waiting for them, and it's good to hear that while, as you said, there have been delays for it, it's been for the right reasons to get them out as best as possible. And like I said, I can't wait to see all the pictures from the show that the people are going to take and get a chance to see them in person. I think that's a big deal for it. So looking forward to it.
I agree. I cannot wait for these things to get in your hands, because it's taken far too long.
Well, soon enough at this point. And then, as you said, pretty much two at once. So that will catch up quickly. So that's cool. But hey, like I said, thanks for joining us again. Safe travels to New York and then on to DCon. We'll find a time, hopefully when things maybe settle down and you're not hopping all over the place again, to catch up for an update again before too long. But as always, as Brian, thanks for everything, and look forward to chatting again sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me as always. And thank you to the Fwoosh.
Well, we will catch you next time on the Fwoosh.
There you go.
All right. Thank you.